Welcome to Steve McDonald's Crafting, and today what I'm going to be doing is on top of this cheap wooden box that I've got here, and the image that I'm going to be using is this one, which is the Chinese dragon, and it comes from my colouring book set that I've got available that are really cheap, of mystical animals, and I'll link that down into the bottom as well. What I now need to do is to put this image onto here. Now what I have to make sure I do is make sure that I get it round the right way. Now I know where the two holes are, but that's the catch, so I want it facing me and I want it in the middle, which is about there. I'm going to transpose this onto here using the old carbon trick. I've got a graphite pencil, and all I'm going to do is to rub over the graphite quite heavily over the whole back of this picture. If you've got carbon paper, you could do that. Use carbon paper as well, or instead of doing this, but I find this works just as well for me. I'm going to put this where I think I want it. I like to do things by eye, and then I'm going to tape it down because the last thing I want is it to be moving once I go over it. And there we go. So that's nicely taped down. That's not going to go anywhere. That picture is quite secure on there while I go over it. And all I'm going to do is take a ball stylus, and they work well to push it down and go over it. I can see it well enough now to transfer that whole image onto there. So now I'm going to go over it with this permanent marker. So I've transferred that now onto there, and I'm quite happy with that, and it just gives me a rough guide of what I'm going to do. I've got my clay tools here, and I've got a little bit of water, and obviously my white clay. If you haven't seen how I made this white air dry clay, I'll link the video to that at the end of this video and in the description. I'm not going to take too much out to start with because I don't want this to dry up. As long as you keep it wrapped up, it does keep quite well and for quite a long time in the bag. Just give it a bit of a mould around when you first take it out to get it nice and smooth again. Now I've got my picture here so I can follow this. I know which bits are going to be more prominent. First of all, I'm going to cover the whole body with a bit of this white clay by taking a bit off, pushing it down and sculpting it on. Now this is made with PVA glue, so it's going to stick to this MDF top really well. And don't forget, if you want to smooth it out, you can. All you need to do is just dip your implement into some water. I've speeded this up 4 times because I'm sure you don't want to be sitting here watching me sculpt every bit. What I'm actually doing is pushing this down first to make sure that I've got a good grip on the actual top of this box. And then I'm going through using a variety of different tools to sculpt it into the shape that I'm looking for. And I keep looking at my picture to make sure I'm in the right areas. Now, I have no real sculpting talent or experience. And what I find is when I'm sculpting, and I do love to sculpt, is that when you do it, just keep building up and taking bits off and building up and taking bits off until you're happy with it. And think about how the perspective of this piece is going to look. So which bits will be more prominent and which bits will be further behind. And they're the ones that I make either deeper or flatter. The same with this tail, and this white clay works amazing as well for sculpting. Keeps for a long time. And you can use it in moulds as well, which is great. So if you want that recipe, check it out. It's on my website. It's a free download. And now I'm just adding some additional bits ready to sculpt. And now I've got the body on there, I'm going to round that off by dipping my little tool into this water. I haven't put the legs on or the head because I will follow that on in a minute. Because what I want to do is ensure that I've got those looking as if they're 3-dimensional and sticking out a little bit more than the actual body. But I just round this body off. I'm going to put some scales in this body in a second. So now I've got the body on, what I'm going to do is concentrate on the legs. And I want this leg here to look like it's further behind. So that's going to be smaller than this leg here, which is going to be higher. Because this is the leg that's more at the front. And that leg is going quite high in there, like that. This is what I mean about perspective. So I know that this leg is going to look more prominent and it's in the front, so I've built this up further, and now I'm adding just a few little details to this. So a crease behind it where you would get where the leg moves because it's not merged onto the body, and then using a little bit of water here as well to smooth it over and get the shape that I'm happy with. If I'm not happy with the shape, I take a bit off or add a bit onto it. I want to say an awesome thank you to everyone that got me a coffee last month. Without you guys, I wouldn't be able to afford to keep doing the things that I do on both my channels. I'm currently saving for a 3D printer. I'm really excited about it, and I'm about halfway there. So thank you. As soon as I get it, I will thank you all again. So finishing off this back leg, which is a little bit flatter, and then the same for this leg and the same for this leg. We've got the first layer down, and that didn't take too long to do. And now what I'm going to do is leave this to cure up a little bit, because that way it will firm up, and then I'll be able to put some more detail in and smooth out any areas as well that I want to smooth out a little bit easier. But before I do that, what I want to do is put the little detail of the eye in and some of these horns coming down here. And all I'm going to do for that is just roll up some of this like that. And if you find it sticks to you, I just pop a little bit of water on it. That will give me bits that will stick nicely to here like this to be able to put on there like that. And then I use my tool to blend that in, and then I will do a little bit of a, almost like a ring, if you can see, using that egg, go round to make it look as if it's sunk into there. I'm nearly there now with this. I've put a lot of the detail on. I'm putting the scales on. All I'm using is this round-ended little tool and just randomly going in. This is the tool I use for the underbelly scales. I'm following the round that way to ensure that they all look like they're going in the right direction. And then on the legs, I'm also going down like that. I'm all ready now just to leave this and let this dry. I'm going to give it probably at least 2 days to dry before I come back to it and finish it off. This is all dry now. It's lovely and hard, as you can see. And the detail that has come out in it, I think, has come out really well. And that's not going to go anywhere on there. That is nice and solid. I've also drawn a rough sketch of some mountings going all the way round. And they're the mountings that I'm going to paint in. And this top bit I'm going to have as sky. I've mixed up some blue that I think will make a nice sky. And I'm going to go round and paint all this on. I'll do these mountains in black. And then once they're painted on, I'll put some detail on and I'll show you how I'll do that. And then I'll show you what I'm going to do to paint that dragon. Wow. I've painted all my mountains on, as you can see. All I did was went through with different shades of black. So black, grey, and then a light grey. And then put some dry brushing of white on them. I painted the blue first and then put the mountains on the back of that because I felt that that would give it a nice crisper look. I've also painted the inside of the box a ultramarine blue, and the same with the lid. So there we go with the lid. Now the lid, like I said, doesn't have any mountains on it. I wanted to keep that completely separate with just this dragon on the top. I'm all ready to paint this now, and what I'm going to do is use these iridescent colours by Arteza because I love these. I'm going to paint the body a red, the underscales and some of these bits iridescent yellow, and do some highlights in black and the scales in this electric plum purple because I think that'll look nice. I'm using a variety of small brushes. Now I don't need to prime this because this was made using the paper clay that I made, and if you want to know how I make that, then check out the video, or the recipe is free on my website. I'm using these brushes and I've made myself a wet palette just using a silicone mat, piece of kitchen roll, and sprayed it with a little bit of water because that way once I squeeze my paint out onto it, it's not going to dry up really quickly, which is what would happen in this hot weather. Now these may need 2 coats, and this is the autumn red colour. And once I get my other colours on it, this red will really pop. And if I want to darken any of these colours down, I can easily do that if I want to get some different tones and things on them. Tiny little bit of iridescent black to it, or add in a bit of titanium white to it if I want to lighten it up. I finished painting the first coat of all the iridescent paints over this, and now what I want to do is give it a little bit of highlight. I've got the fiery red, which I'm going to dry brush over the scales to give them a bit of a lift, and all I'm doing is putting some paint into my brush like that, taking a clean bit of cloth and removing some of that, and then I can go over that like this, and then highlight some of these colours. And then also what I'm going to do is I've got some shocking lime green that I'm going to go into each of the individual scales on the belly and possibly on the head as well, to give those a bit of a lighten up. So what I'm doing now is going over the blue. This is all finished now, and as you can see, all I've gone over with is a bit of sponge like this. Gone in some white that I've mixed some of the blue background with, knocking that off first, and then twisting my sponge in all sorts of directions, not in the same position twice if I can help it. And I'm putting the more brighter clouds up the top, and how I'm doing that is by just pushing a little bit harder on my sponge as opposed to here at the bottom. I think it breaks up that blue quite a bit and gives it a different feel. Down these sides, doing exactly the same thing. Yeah, I'm happy with that. Well, this is nearly all finished now, but before I put the hinges back on, what I'm going to do is give it a couple of coats of a semi-gloss varnish. Now, I'm not going to spray it because it's not going to get in everywhere, so I'm going to brush this on, let it dry, and then give it a second coat. What that'll do is that'll bring up a lot of the highlights, it'll make it a little bit smoother, and I just think it'll finish it off nicely. Well, it's all finished now, and all I need to do is put the feet on it. I think you'll agree, it has come out really pretty. I do like the semi-gloss feel to it as well, and you'll be able to see it all the way around. The box came with these like antique bronze or dark hinges, and I don't think they suit the box. I'm going to use these gold ones, and I'm also going to add these gold feet that I've got here onto the bottom, and it's really easy to put them on. They go on like that, and you screw them down, the screws come with it. I will link everything that I've used, including these hinges and these feet, in the description below, and I think this will finish it off nicely. Well, when I turned it over, I realised I hadn't painted the bottom, and you know me, I'm terrible at forgetting to do the bottoms of boxes. So I have painted it, and I've painted it black because I think that's the right colour. And now I'm going to sign it. I'm going to sign it using a gold leaf pen because I think it would be nice to have it signed. S. McDonald, that's all I need to put on it. And that won't rub off because of the little feet, which is ideal. It's all finished now. I'm really pleased with how it's come out. I absolutely love it. I think the gloss finish on the dragon has worked really, really well, as well as the mountains all the way around. I think the feet definitely finish it off, and they give it that sense of style. And those feet aren't expensive at all. In fact, they're very, very cheap. I have quite a few of them in different colours because I often make boxes, as you know. Inside, it's nicely finished. It's an ultramarine blue. All this I made from my own white paper clay, and the recipe for that is on my website. If you want to use that, please feel free to use it. I will link everything that I've used today in the description below, including the links to my website, and if you'd like to buy me a coffee just to say thank you. I think that's come out lovely. Let me know in the comments what you think. Be sure to hit that thumbs up, it really helps my videos get out there, and hit that subscribe button if you haven't already done so. And be sure to check out the video that's coming up now. It's another box. I think you'll love it as well. Did cause a bit of controversy at the time, but I think you'll really enjoy it. Take care, enjoy your crafting, bye.